Welcome to Surviving on Shoestrings with Donna Miller. Together we'll look outside the box to stretch what we have, make do, and get by with humor, style, and a smile. And now welcome your hostess, Donna Miller.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Surviving on Shoestrings. I'm your hostess, Donna Miller. Thanks for tuning in again today, and I'm just delighted to get to spend some time with you. Well, I've got a lot to cram in today, and I'm going to be monologuing, and you might want to take notes. Maybe not. Maybe you'll commit these to memory by hearing them. I'm going to give you 20 things to do with old pantyhose. Now, these may not be typical. There are several that I've done for the majority of my life. I am running out of pantyhose. I put out a call out on my Facebook page not long ago, and I received a few pair, but boy, I could use a few more because this is not the day and age of pantyhose. Regardless of the fact that I'm probably older than most of you listening, I still just don't wear them. I probably had a dozen pair that didn't get worn. They lost their elasticity, and they just ended up, being used for anything and everything else. I still have almost everything that I used them for. I still have more items that I could use old pantyhose for. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to try to get 10 in before the break and 10 in afterwards. And if you've got some unique uses for pantyhose, I'd love it if you'd leave a little comment. Let me know what you use them for, or email me at survivingonShoestrings@gmail.com, and I'll bring up your idea on the radio. So I'm going to jump right in. I have 20 things, and I've kind of broken them down into my favorite areas, such as like household chores, especially laundry, bath and hygiene, general over the household uses, kitchen, and outside. Yep, and then last but not least, crafts. So, hang on to your hats. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do crafts first, because that's actually something I don't dive into too much. I don't have a lot of crafty things going on, well, at least that don't use pantyhose. And you can find so many of these on the internet. I'm not going to go into great detail. These are all one. There's just one thing. Crafts. Ta-da! No, you can use old pantyhose for stuffing things, like if you're doing pillows or teddy bears or things like that. You can actually braid them and make them into rugs. You can, and it's pretty nice. They're already long and easy to do. You can do this really cool thing that my kids would do, and I've seen other kids do, is you take the skin-colored pantyhose and you draw your tattoo design on the leg or wherever, however long you want it. Cut it to where your arm just shows through and stretch it on up over there, and you get a tattoo. Now, if you're making a costume, that works out great. If your kid thinks they need a tattoo and they're 8, let them try it out instead of, wanting one later. But it's also, this is a bonus, because we're talking about wearing the pantyhose, not necessarily as pantyhose. They're good as bug barriers. Now I'm going into the yard. Yes, I am. This is a spare. This is a bonus because it segued from the tattoo. You can actually put them on your arms if you happen to get bites, chiggers, even poison ivy. It would be a fairly decent barrier if you're not extremely allergic. Put them on your arms. The air will blow through them versus like a lot of gloves, and you can keep your arms protected from the little things that bite and the stuff that cause rashes. While you have, gloves on your hands, your arms still may get something, so put them on your arms. That was a bonus freebie. All right, a couple more outdoor things. You probably have done this. One great thing is to use them to tie up your plants. Tomato plants come into mind first and foremost because we're always staking and tying. They tend to get a lot bigger than we think they will when we first plant the little babies. And they just, they get heavy laden and lots of tomatoes. It's pretty awesome, but it also causes them to break and we lose it. Pantyhose can be nice and wide, and they won't ruin and strangle the stalk as it grows, and it won't be so small, narrow. You can make them nice and wide and full. If it's really narrow, then a tomato plant or another type of plant will break because it just simply bends at that part. But a pantyhose is nice and thick. Even if you cut them up into strips, you can still keep them pretty thick when you tie it up without strangling out the nutrients from your plant. All right, the really third thing that you can use them for in the outdoors, is you can use them to detour deer, bunny rabbits, other little rodents of unusual size and strength that would get into your garden and eat melons. What you just do is take the buns of the pantyhose. Yes, that's what I just called them. Lop them off at the legs, the high part of the legs, tie the legs into knots, and then tie the top, your waist part, around where the vine is going into your melon. Give it plenty of breathing room, and loosely. You don't want it really, really tight. Kind of loose, so that your watermelon or your cantaloupe or your honeydew can still grow, but most critters are not going to be chewing through a nylon, so it'll protect them. And then tip number 4, in the garden, is you can use them to deter kitties from using potted plants as their personal litter boxes. How do I know this? You can also do that with the mesh bags that produce comes in. But pantyhose work great because you just take the leg and put the wider part around the whatever your pot is. Just, it'll stretch. Take it around there. And then it'll go more narrow around the base of your plant. So you just pull it around your plant like you're putting on a giant turtleneck and put it around the top of your pot. And then the interior, your top of the leg, you don't have to make it very wide. You have to make it the width of the circumference from going the outside of your pot to the center where your plant is coming out of. But it keeps the cats from getting in there and digging around. They don't like that feel. Their fingers, they have fingers. Their claws get stuck. And so they don't use your potted plants for kitty boxes. This is a bonus on that one. It's the same thing. It'll also keep the dirt from tipping out completely if you have a pet or you are graceful like myself and knock over a plant. It'll keep the dirt from just tumbling out completely. So it's kind of a dirt holder, kitty detourer all in one. Kind of a nifty little thing. And it's an old leg of pantyhose. And then one more outside thing that you may have not thought of before is to save your bait. If you're a fisherman or a fisherwoman and you want to fish, but you don't want your bait to constantly be, have to rebait your hook, or if you have kids who are a little squeamish, they don't want to gut that little worm or that little shrimp or whatever, you can put a little critter down in a toe of a pantyhose and still hook it pretty close to the hook. Obviously, you want the fish to come close, right? But just tie off the top and hook it really close. It will draw your fish just like it would if it was hooked. And your fish will strike and get the hook in its mouth, provided you've put the bait close to the hook still. And you have kept a live bait, which is a little bit more attractive because it draws attention in the water. And B, you can keep using it till that bait disappears completely. So it's kind of a nice additional money stretcher. All right. These are all my outside things thus far, and I'm not even a whopping 9 minutes into the show. That's pretty good. We're clicking them down. I hope you've taken some notes. Now we're going to move to the kitchen. Yes, pantyhose in the kitchen. One of my personal favorites. Pantyhose now being almost obsolete for so many of us. I don't think I've worn pantyhose in about a decade, partly because when you're mostly working on a farm and homestead, you are not really pantyhose oriented. So I had a lot of them. I've used them in all of these ways, and yes, send me more. If you want to get rid of them and you don't want to do anything with them, I'll take them. You can, in your kitchen, use them as a plastic bag dispenser. You know all the bags we get if we shop at a store, the plastic thank you bags that are so, I know, they multiply. Even if you don't buy a lot of stuff, it seems like they put one item in one bag. You end up with 45 bags for 46 items. So you have a surplus of bags. If you remember to take them back for recycling, I am so proud of you because I can never remember. But a leg of a pantyhose will make a great dispenser. You can make it as long as you want to, tie it off at the top, hook it onto something, or make it nice and decorative, hang it on a pretty little hook. But you want to be able to get back in there so you can keep stuffing them down, and cut a small hole at the toe. Pull your first bag through, and from then on they just feed through, and no more of those really, how they fly around and float all over the place, the grocery store bags. So it keeps them in a nice tight area, and you can dispense them quite easily that way. I say that's the kitchen, but you probably can use that anywhere. A lot of people use them in the kitchen or as bathroom trash liners and things like that. Another use for pantyhose in the kitchen, this is multiple things, but it's still the same use, which is to store your onions or your garlic or your potatoes. And this loops over into outside. Bulbs for outdoors will be stored this way as well. You can tie each individual onion to keep them from touching, or potato or garlic bulb, because it's the touching that actually makes them start to rot quicker. It's when they're touching against each other. Now, word of warning, do not alternate potatoes and onions or potatoes and garlic, because the fumes from your onions and garlic will actually start to make your potatoes decompose faster. So keep them on two opposite ends of the spectrum, even if they're in pantyhose legs. Keep them away from each other so that they're not exchanging off-gassing and kind of, making each other go bad faster. But you can put each in, tie a knot on top of that, put the next one on top, tie a knot, put the next one on top, tie a knot, and that's going to prolong the life of your onions, your garlic, and your potatoes. Again, in separate pantyhose legs. Okay, those are my favorites so far for outdoors. 1 crossover outdoor and indoor, the bulbs, and 2 for in the kitchen. We're going to take a little break right now, and we're going to have a word from our sponsors. We hope you'll listen through and come back for even more exciting things you can do around the house, in the bathroom and hygiene, and in your laundry area. All these with those useless pantyhose. We'll be right back.
Do you have your free digital subscription to Prepare Magazine yet? If not, then hurry over to preparemag.com and start getting each monthly issue sent directly to your inbox. It's easy. All you have to do is go to preparemag.com, enter your name and email address, and you're subscribed. Consider signing up for the premium membership for past issues and exclusive resources. Visit preparemag.com and choose the option that's most valuable to you. Prepare Magazine, encouraging, empowering, and enriching your journey.
Welcome back to the second half of Surviving on Shoestrings, and I'm glad you're with us to go through this really weird list of what to do with old pantyhose. Yes, they could have a run in them, or yes, you hate the color now, or yes, the waistband eroded into nothingness. You can still use these, and it will actually save you from purchasing other items. So I am going to go with the 2. Really, there's only 2 that I use in the laundry area, but they're pretty good, because if you had to actually buy things to make do with these, you would spend a good deal of money. Not repeatedly, but just having to hunt them down and keep track of them. Pantyhose, if you got a load of them, you might as well use them. One of the best things you can do with a large section, which would be like from your knee to your upper thigh of a pantyhose, runs and all, it doesn't matter, is make them into a small garment bag to put in the washer, and yes, dryer if you use a dryer. And what can you put in this small garment bag? Well, of course, any small items that have hooks and eyes that might get caught on another, any small items that have Velcro that might get caught on another, shoelaces, baby socks, headbands, all sweatbands, anything that's small that is hard to find after you've pulled it out, or has a potential of damaging something else in the washer. Put them inside this homemade garment wash bag. Just tie a knot at either end, either the thigh or the knee, what's your choice, and load your garment bag with the items, whether it's something with hooks or heavy-duty zippers, Velcro, or multiple things. Hey, guess what? Make multiple bags. Then all you have to do is tie a knot in the top. Now, when I say tie a knot, let me quickly explain. It's not tie two ends looped over, cross, and cross, because that still will leave a hole. Every time I've said tie a knot, I'm basically saying take the whole tube, draw it out to the end, and loop it around itself to make a knot, because that's going to actually untie easily. Wash your clothes as usual, dry them as usual, untie your knot, and you're done. That is pretty awesome. I know in the store, those little mesh garment bags to wash, launder bags, probably cost anywhere between $8 and $12 a piece. So you can make one for free. Pretty nifty. And who cares if it gets a little hole in it one day from a hook or an eye or a zipper. It's a piece of pantyhose. How awesome is that? All right. The next thing you can do with pantyhose in the laundry area is save yourself the annoyance of the heavy things like certain jackets, overcoats, heavy sweaters, sweatshirts, things that you would normally have to try to hang or lay out flat. You have to buy a screen for that one, or try to hang as gently as possible. You're always going to get those hanger marks if you're drying something like that, especially sweaters. Well, what you can do is take an entire, if it's necessary, an entire set of pantyhose or just one leg, tie a toe to a line or to another hanger, and then thread the legs or leg through the arms, neck, not out the neck, but scooch under it, and out the other arm of your sweater that you're drying, or your heavy item that would normally get hanger marks, and then just tie up the other end of your hose, whether it's tying it from the line to the line or hanger to hanger. At least then it's stretched out, it'll dry, but it's not going to have any marks on it, and it will keep its shape. That's a pretty awesome thing. And it's easy to reuse over and over. All right, we're done in the laundry room. Let's move into just the rest of the house. Kind of your mishmash of things. I'm going to save my favorite and most used area, which is bath and hygiene, for last. A use for pantyhose just around the house, just your normal household stuff. You can. This is one that I actually had never thought of doing. Someone mentioned it to me, and I'm so going to do it now that once I find all my wrapping paper, is put your wrapping paper down in a pantyhose. If you've ever had to move and had wrapping paper that was just like loose tubes of it, you know you're going to ruin that stuff. Or it falls down behind the dryer, or it falls down in the closet, or it comes unraveled and you've lost half your wrapping paper. A leg of pantyhose will stop that from happening. Just put it down in there, tie a knot at the top, and you don't lose it. You don't wrinkle it. You don't have to tape the edges and tear it apart again later. Amazing. I thought that was probably one of the best suggestions that I got when I was asking people what they use theirs for. So I will start doing that. Another thing that I thought was really interesting, we don't have ceiling fans here at the home we're in, but we have had ceiling fans in the past. And if you hate cleaning them, this will save you that time. Legs on the ceiling fan blade. Yes, they're going to get a little bit nappy and nasty towards the end. They're just going to be picking up lint. But all you got to do is take them off. And you can even take them off wrong side out so that the lint's not flying anywhere. You know, just fold it over itself. And you can wash it and put it back on. Or you can throw it away and put on new ones, whichever way you want to do it. If dusting ceiling fan blades is kind of not your favorite thing, that's a great way to avoid that step. And it's a semi-filter. It kind of sucks extra stuff out of the air when it goes around. So it's kind of neat. Shoe covers. If you're like me and you wear high heel shoes maybe once every year, I hate high heel shoes. I used to have to wear them a good bit, and I'm not a fan. So I have a few pair of high heel shoes that I'll keep around just in case I'm gonna meet the king, um, queen, pope, somebody. But I put them in. Basically, it's like the laundry bag. Put them in a laundry bag size portion of the hose because it'll keep dust from getting on them. It'll keep them sitting in the position that they normally sit in instead of falling over and squunched up. And it'll keep them dust free. So that's kind of nice when you get ready to use them for that emergency call to fame and fortune. Publishers clearinghouses showed up at your door. You have great clean shoes. I think that's probably one of my favorite new ones that I found out from someone that I will probably do because I did take out a pair of my shoes not very long ago just to move them and realize they were black, but they looked almost white based on how much dust had accumulated on them underneath at the back of my closet. Just never use them. All right. Another great idea for around the house is basically if you've dropped something small, say you lost your wedding ring or your earring or contact lens or, little stuff, and you are just having the doggonedest time trying to find it, take your vacuum cleaner out. Wait, don't freak out because you would not normally do this because you'd end up sucking it up into your bag of your vacuum, or even if it's one of those nice canister bags, you're going to get it nasty in with everything else. Just put a little bit of your pantyhose over the end of the hose itself. Dehose it to where you just have a tube. To where you're just using the tube, and wherever you think you've lost it, take that pantyhose covered tube, turn on your vacuum, and it'll lift it up. It'll pick it up. Now it's probably going to pick up a few other things too, but it's going to pick that up without sending it through a blender of of hoses for your vacuum. Pretty nice. If you've dropped something way behind a desk or a dresser or a bed, that's one of the best ways to find those tiny objects. A bobby pin, a baby pin, a safety pin, earring backs, earrings, rings, necklace. You're never going to want to suck up a necklace straight into a vacuum cleaner. But if you've covered the end with a pantyhose, awesome. You can find it, pick it up, and not worry about ruining it. All right, another thing that I really like to do is to use pantyhose as kind of a sachet. And there are two different sachets you can make, and this is again the toe of the pantyhose. Just lop off the end of it. You can put little ribbons on it. You can use white hose. You can use black hose. You can use fishnet hose. You can use hose with patterns. This is great because it doesn't have to be just your regular skin color pantyhose. It could be anything. And just fill it full of your favorite potpourri or fresh herbs, or dried herbs, I should say. Dried from fresh herbs, flowers, anything that's got a nice scent you want in your drawer. And it'll, of course, make it not musty, make it smell good. But another one that you can do is to fill it with, and you could actually do a combination of the two, a combination of silicone cat litter. Now, it needs to be the kind that literally traps the moisture, not just clumps and not just clay mixed with some silicone drips in there, droplets or whatever they're called, beads in there. It needs to be 100% silicone cat litter. Put that in there with your potpourri or alone, and it will absorb moisture, keeping that really musty, wet, damp, maybe mold, as long as it's not a serious mold issue. Keep that out of an enclosed area. So I think that's probably one of my favorites to use because we do have kind of a damp area where we live, and it helps to keep the mustiness out of your clothing. All right, we're closing in on my absolute favorite, and I know we're coming to the end of the show. I don't want to rush it, but these are my favorites. I don't know why, but this is the one where I use all the time. It's my go-to when I have spare pantyhose, other than the tomatoes and plants outside. Those are my two places, the bathroom and hygiene and outside, that I tend to really get ingenuitive. So I'm going to pass some of these on to you. If you've been injured and you're trying to hold a heat pack or or we make ours out of rice, so I keep calling it a rice pack. It's an ice pack or a heat pack. If you want to hold it in an awkward place, it's not right where you sit, take it and put it in the middle of a leg of pantyhose, and you can tie it onto wherever you need it. I mean, a shoulder, an elbow, an upper back, an upper thigh, all kinds of places you can hold it securely so that as you move, wiggle, or walk, it'll stay as close to the affected area as possible. I think that's one of my favorites that we use pantyhose for. Another thing is a back scrubber. You can stick a loofah or some other kind of rougher, spongish things in the middle of a leg. Again, I'm right now dealing with all the legs. And tie off the ends. You can even put some soap in there. We'll get to that in a minute. Or just leave it as it is. And it's easy to loop it across your back, grab the other end of the leg, and scrub. It's pretty awesome. A third one is a great way to keep your hairbrush clean. If you're anything like me, it's like a task I don't even think about until I look at it and go, ew. You can put a portion, cut it about the same size as the face of your hairbrush, of leg, just one layer, not a double layer, not a full leg, just one portion of it, single layer. Lay it over your hairbrush and press down. If your brush has not got strong enough bristles to puncture the nylon, you can actually take a pin or scissors and just cut a few little holes and let it lay right over there to where it is flush against the base of your brush. Now the air will still flow through it if you're drying your hair, so it's not a problem, but when you look at it and you go, gosh, it looks disgusting, all you have to do then is pull that little piece of nylon off your pantyhose, and you have another clean brush to start with. And then, yes, this is provided you're starting with a clean brush to begin with. And then do it again with another piece of pantyhose. That's one of my favorites because you do get buildup on a hairbrush, and if you're washing hairbrushes is difficult because it's wet hair in a brush. Yes. Pulling all the hair out sometimes can be difficult. If you happen to have longer hair, it can be a chore. So that's a way to save yourself some headache, is to just, while the brush is clean, lay down a piece of that, get it in there nice and flush, and then just take it off when you're done, when you want it clean. All right, another one is to, of course, use in your bath with actual herbs and bath salts. You can make an herb tea type of thing, rosemary or mint or some beautiful rose petals, and put them in the toe, or if you want a lot, put them in a thigh, tied off at one end and the other of pantyhose, and just let it soak in the tub with you. And in that way, it's nice and easy to pull it out. Chances are good it'll dry, and you might actually get to reuse it again another couple times. So you're not fishing them out of the tub when you're done. You've scented it, it's floating there, everything smells good, and you can actually get a little bit more use out of it. All right, we're down to actually my top two favorite. And these are things that I still have these, I still use these. Not that I don't have and use all the others, but like frequently. It's the same one I've had for years. One of which is make headbands and scrunchies. They're the same thing, basically, for me. And these are the things I wear either in the garden or to take off my makeup. I would not necessarily wear these in public, but if you've got a nice clean pair of pantyhose or white hose or black hose or stockings of some form that you want to recycle into something, by all means, no one will know. You do need to make your knot in the end of it very small, and I would suggest you also measure your head. So you want it to be nice and tight, not very loose, and just cut the two ends off. Tie a tiny knot or tight knot as far to the base of the two once you loop it around as possible. Put it over your head and use as a headband. That same one can actually be wrapped multiple times around a ponytail. And so it is also a scrunchie, which I am informed by my adult daughters you never wear out in public anymore. It's not the 80s anymore, Mom. So, but it doesn't mean I'm not wearing one around the house. Yep, just touched my head. I do have a scrunchie on. I have a pantyhose scrunchie on while I'm recording the show. My chickens don't care, so now you know. And then last but not least, this one is one that I use all the time, and I have for years. And that's because I can't stand to see the little tiny bits of soap go to waste. And it's take the toe, throw in all the little bits of soap, and tie the end off. You can make it long and make it soap on a rope, but I kind of don't like that. That's just a me thing. I like the small, grab it, use it until it dissipates and start over. It's also a great thing that you can put in the base of some warm water and use as a hand pump soap, because that soap will eventually dissolve in the warm water and you've made liquid soap. But that is my favorite, so much so that I actually made a video, so I'll link to that below, and you can take a look at the fun I have reusing pantyhose. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you got 20 great ideas for one pair of pantyhose. Actually, it's going to take you more than one pair of pantyhose to do them all. So hopefully you've got some stashed away in the drawer, you didn't know what to do with them, and now you do. Until next time, this is Donna Miller saying God bless and signing off, hoping you have a wonderful outlook no matter what life might throw at you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
You've been listening to Surviving on Shoestrings with hostess Donna Miller. Tune in each week for a new show that will help you enjoy frugal survival with humor, style, and a smile.